Hello, on this episode of The Average Tabletop Gamers, we are going to be looking at the Judge Dredd I Am the Law starter set from Warlord Games. Hello, I'm Sven.
And I'm Gary.
And as we said there, we're going to be looking at this, the brand new I Am the Law starter set from Warlord for their new Judge Dredd game.
Well, range, because it's already pretty beefy.
Yeah, so it's the new game that's obviously set in the 2000 AD Judge Dredd universe. So obviously they've already done Strontium Dog, one of the 2000 AD licenses, and now we're moving into Mega City 1.
Let's face it, it's the main course.
It's the main one, it's the big one. It's one of the original 2000 AD strips. So we've got the starter box here. Mm-hmm. So this is your kind of same kind of thing you had with Strontium Dog in terms of the starter kit with everything we need to get playing. So we'll dive in, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, so the bit we're interested in, the miniatures.
The toy soldiers. So any starter set these days, we're expecting minis. I think we've talked about starter sets that don't include them and expect you to get them separately. It's kind of a bit missing the point, and this has thankfully got some in.
So in the box we get a street judge and I think a rookie judge.
Yeah.
And we get 8 block gangers. So we've got them spit guns, stump guns, and various other bits of weaponry, knives. I can't remember the names of all the various weaponry.
Random bad guy weaponry.
And a guy with some kind of spiked chain wrapped around his fist, which is nice. And a chap with a pistol and a knife. So we've got a good range. So obviously it's 2 versus 8.
So that seemed a little unfair,
but it is. So with Strontium Dog, it was the same kind of thing where we had, like you had Johnny Alpha and
Woolston
versus normally more of the of those guys. But
I think quite cleverly as well, what Warlord has done is you've got a street judge. Judges are pretty formidable in their own right, and of course it's going to make you want to get the Dredd set. If you're going to get this set, you're going to get Dredd, and I think it's wise not to put him in the main box, because I think for me, Dredd's all-consuming. When Dredd turns up, it's about kick-off. Dredd is the guy who stopped a block wall by shouting them down. He's really hardcore, so having a judge and a rookie judge gives you a bit of feeling like these guys are still pretty tough because they can take on 8 bad guys. Looking at the figures, the one thing I did notice straight away is that figure, beautifully detailed when you look at him at the front, but he's incredibly thin and flat on the top, which is a really odd bit of casting, considering the processes they do these days and the level of detail. And when you look at things like that guy with the stump gun there, that's actually really nice. He's got a bit more.
Yeah, and there's a guy that's shooting over his shoulder that's got a bit more of a dynamic pose. That kind of reminds me of the early days of...
In the 80s, like, I'm a wizard. It's that kind of casting where it's flat, but it's fit to do with the mould and mould limitations. So, obviously they're working within that for mass production, but with modern casting techniques, it's still a bit of a surprise.
So these feel like I think they're resin, but they're...
It's that plasticized resin. There's a bit of flex.
There is going to be a bit of trim up on these, so some of the flashing is a little bit iffy. I know that Warlord have basically been inundated with pre-orders for this, so I think their resin production has been full chat. And so we'll see when we look at some of the expansion stuff that they've even had to push some of their initial range out as limited edition metal, because they can't handle the amount of resin production just to fulfill the pre-orders. But they're really nice detailed minis. Like Warlord are always going to do really nice minis, especially with some of the plastics, the non-metals now.
The thing for me, looking through these, which is quite interesting, even though you've got that is Keith Richards, isn't it?
Yeah.
It completely. There's a guy in here that's Keith Richards. I'm a conformist and I'm rooting for the judges, but I'm not going to lie, these bad guy figures are lovely. From a paint job point of view, when I'm looking at the bad guys, one of the big advances in paints recently, and people want to try paints, is Workshop's contrast paint. I think these will paint up beautifully using the contrast range. Get that Wraithbone spray on these and then start building up the layers. These are going to look really nice really quickly. Whereas your judges, they're going to take a bit more work to get right. You still want some of those bright colours, and for me, I'd want to go quite cartoony on the paint jobs. when I think Dredd, I think bright, bold colours. I'm not looking for hyper-realistic. I'm looking for OTT sci-fi, kind of like Fifth Element style sci-fi colouring. If you want a visual in your head, that's what I think when I think Dredd's world. I think something that bright and colourful. I loved what they did in the Carl Urban movie because it had a gritty feel, but it still kept that brightness to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I get around to painting these up, which will be very soon, I'll say, I'm going to probably go for an actual 80s 2000 AD print palette.
Yeah.
I've already painted some of my buildings in that kind of, those bright colours, the same as the print.
Like the really vividness of the green, the big yellow of the shoulder pad, yeah.
So I'm going to give them really nice colour scheme. But I say, so you get a nice little range of figures there, 10 minis and the starter set.
They're not going to kill you to paint them. It's 10 models.
And of course we get the bases to go with them, but they're your standard Warlord.
With the bases as well, though, because you've got the round bases, you're gonna have to look for. You're gonna have to plan ahead of how you're going to base these. The figures that I've seen in the paint jobs have all got a little bit of broken rubble, and I can understand it because these bases glued onto a flat disc. It's not very forgiving to just have sand on, so you're gonna have to think about your basing before you start doing these. There's probably manufacturers that are going to be doing bases specifically for this, but looking at the fact that this is plasticized resin, you're never going to take those bases off easily. You're going to have to work around that.
So next we've got some more plastic. In this case we've got the tokens,
which are intrinsic to the mechanic for the game.
Yeah, so we get two sets of tokens, one in gold for the judges, one in blue for the crims. And these are all the tokens you need.
The perps.
The perps. These are the ones that we need for playing the game. So you've got wounds, you've got stuns, you've got the initiative tokens, including those star tokens.
Yeah. Which is a mechanic. If you check out our Strontium Dog video, we weren't impressed with that mechanism, but what we understand is Warlord have took that on board and they've actually adapted the mechanic so it plays better for this game. But you'll have to check that out because we are going to do a playthrough of this quite soon. Yeah, so we're going to get this all set up and played through. So we've got two sets of tokens and say again it's a nice move from Warlord that with these 2000 AD Rebellion licenses, they're kind of keeping the same mechanics through, so essentially they're the same tokens that you've used through Strontium Dog as well, which is nice. Yeah. Now you're going to have to show the transfer sheet because I love that.
We've got a transfer sheet here, a decal sheet, which is Mega City Graffiti. And if you got the October or November issue of War Games Illustrated, you will have one of these already. And it's got some really nice bits in, so it's got things like Rage Against the Megs, it's got Free Chopper,
yes.
Spug Life, which I quite like.
The Diablos, some great stuff all there. And the thing is that one of the things I like about that is when we look at the close-up of it as well, is a really overlooked thing for 2000 AD is the fact that it's really authoritarian. It's like it's a militarized, almost fascist state. Well, it is pretty much a fascist state because the judges are pretty unforgiving, even though they're on the side of the law. And I love one of the pieces of graffiti is Democracy Now.
Yeah.
I just love that because it's kind of like it's a thing you easily overlook in Judge Dredd, that it's bright, it's colourful, there's a lot of comedic tone to it, especially in the earlier artwork. Like when you look at things like Brian Bolland's artwork, which I love. You know, I bought 2000 AD when it first came out. That's I Am That Old, kids. Yeah, that's right. And I love that artwork. And when you look at like how they built that in, you just didn't feel it was that kind of society, and it is. So I love that. I think that's great.
We've got the bag of dice. So these are again the Warlord specific, 2000 AD specific dice, which have got the 2000 AD special symbol. We've got the explosion. We've got the shield, the shield of justice, and you get 2d6, which you're going to need for certain actions like movement, sprints, and things like that. And again, exactly the same dice that you've got for Strontium Dog. So again, it's kind of encouraging you to look at the 2000 AD range from Warlord. So next we've got two lots of card stock. So we've got some stat cards.
So that's for starting the game by the look of it, and I really like this. This is a really clever little way of, instead of a quick reference card, which can be sometimes too hard to refer to, you've actually got all of the relevant things for. This is a street judge, and not only that, it tells you what equipment they've got on the back, and so it kind of like gives you the shorthand for it. So it tells you it's got special rules and what they are. It tells you what page they're on, so see page 62. They're carrying a Lawgiver Mark II, and it's got the weaponry stats on there. These are really, really good, and it's also got the block gangs on there. I would hope this is in each of the boxes they do, because that is brilliant. I think that's fantastic.
Considering that's got all of the stats in that you need to actually play the game, so you've got the move, you've got the cool, things like that.
I wonder if other manufacturers, like major game manufacturers, start copying this brilliant little idea. That's great.
Well, Warlord started doing that with some of their other games, so things like the In Bolt Action, some of the plastic tank kits and vehicle kits, you actually get a little card size like that with the stats on.
I think that's really diverse and really huge, whereas this is very specific. I think it fits well with the skirmish size. Really good.
So the next card is split in, card pack is split in two sets. We've got the big Meg cards, which I think in Strontium Dog are called Chicanery, and these are things you can play in the game, like Months for Brains, where you can force your opponent to take a cool test, and so obviously they're things you can use, like special events you can use within the game.
Just a bit of a product suggestion, Warlord. Great thing. I know that you see, like Workshop will do things where they're doing the advanced arsenal, where they're charging. I'll be honest, it's a good whack of cash for like 24 cards for the advanced arsenal. It's like a tenner. I would imagine if you got that stat with one of those cards in a box, like if they expanded the range, that would be a great way to get extra cards into the game.
And here is something that they've done which is very clever. There is a card in Big Meg which I've just found, which is called Johnny Alpha and Wolf Sternhammer.
Like, wow.
Where you can introduce those two characters to time-travelling bounty hunters into Mega City 1, and even says, if you've got the models from the Strontium Dog game, why don't you introduce them as a third faction in the scenario? So
well
very, very clever. And we've also got the armory cards, and so the armory cards is all of your weapon upgrades and things. So we've got smoke bombs and stun gas, and we've got each of the different rounds that the Lawgiver can fire.
So I can imagine a Lawmaster, like getting stats for a Lawmaster or a Lawmaster-based judge, and the relevant weaponry in there as well.
So we've got High X, we've got Seeker, we've got Incendiary, Ricochet, no double whammy. So
get in.
So we can again ignore that. But we've got the Birdie lie detector. So again, all of the things you'd expect from
actual
Mega City.
Not that sliced alone terrible knock-off that happened. We try not to talk about it. It was terrible.
So next we've got the scenario booklet. So again, it's got a little bit of background fluff about the mean streets of Sector 43.
Thanks to Vaz for packing that one for us. Well done, Vaz, mate. Good job. Well done. We like your work. And
so this scenario booklet has got 3 scenarios in. Again, all centered around these. So it's all balanced.
Yeah.
So like the first one, Sugar Rush,
it gives you a taste of what's going on. Yeah,
using Judge Kinsey, and you've got 3 of the high rollers, Block Gang, and essentially you're trying to chase down a drug deal or a sugar deal going down. And you've got 3 scenarios, and again each one kind of introduces more and more till the fact you get to the last scenario, Sweet Justice, where you're using everything in the box.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's very good 3 scenarios to get you into the game and playing the game.
And I think also the scenarios in there are designed to be used with this, which is a bit ridiculously impressive, to be quite honest. Try not to get too much bends on it. There we go.
Yeah, so we've actually got quite a nice printed player mat. I don't know if we'll be able to do that justice on the screen there.
Yeah. Turns that way. There you go. Let's get it the right way up. And it's really nice. It's printed. It's got that. You can tell it's 3D on it. Calisascara Megway. Well done, Warlord. That is an amazing touch. The late great Calisascara there.
And it's double sided, so we can
flip it around. There we go.
And you'll see we've got again more like a different setting, different look and feel for the game,
which is really nice. Even things like the street lighting with the glow underneath, gives you a sense of depth to it as well. That's a decent sized print area. What size are we looking at there?
So I think that's probably 3x3 or 2x2.
About 3x3. No, it's definitely about 3x3. That's really good. So 3x3 playing area that Sven's trying to wreck there by the look of it.
And again, it's nice because they could have basically made you kind of go out and buy a player mat or something.
Yeah.
And then it looks like we've got a little bit of card stock.
So I'll give you the rule book. So the card stock here is, so obviously to go on the map, you've got things like, much as it's 2D, having that little barrier on there will just fix it in your mind that actually that is a barrier. It's got some vehicles in there in the game. It's got someone in Boeing, which who doesn't love Boeing? It's got the Munzburger Shack there, but also it's got the wrecked version of things as well. So you've got it in perfect word and order and the absolutely wrecked version as well. So it's got a dual purpose. That's really clever. Well done, Warlord again.
And you get this full colour softback rulebook.
So what we'll do is we'll do a close-up of the rulebook, which we've already got open here. Now, what we've got open is actually the limited edition book that Sven got, and what you'll see here is the limited diorama set that you got with that, which was Judge Dredd and Judge Death in a duel. I would check out Warlord's website to have a look at that. It's really stunning. Now, you only get that with the limited edition book?
Well, you get it with any of the pre-orders.
Right, okay.
And so if you bought a starter set, if you bought a rule book, there was a lot of the pre-order bundles, and I think Warlord might still be doing him as a limited edition figure.
Well, it's a special edition, which suggests they're not going to limit it to that.
So it might be like the special edition ones they do with the Bolt Action rule books.
So when we look at this, I've left it on the page of one of the key characters, Judge Dredd. It's got some of the beautiful CGI modified artwork there, which is really stunning. My personal favourite, the Brian Bolland black and white artwork. It gives you Dredd's background, and it goes into a lovely full colour panel of Dredd there. It looks really iconic, and it's got Dredd's rules on this side here. Now, notoriety is the point system for Dredd, and he's listed in the Judge Dredd game. He's listed as 35 points. Now, we've had a quick flick through, and a typical street judge is about 18 points, so he's almost double the street judge, and he'll be worth the money. And looking at it, he's got just oodles of special rules, but it's Dredd. You expect him to be nails. So that's the kind of thing you can expect. The book is fantastic. There's colour artwork all the way through. That looks like some Simon Bisley art. It's got some great miniature shots as well. You've got all the special gang profiles. So it's really good.
Yeah, so we've got like the rule book again. It's everything you need to play the game. It's got some background. It's got some fluff. It's got stat profiles like for everything. You've got there's even some stuff in there like the kind of teases what's going to be coming up soon. So we've got City Death,
the City Death guys,
which I don't think were in the initial wave releases. We've got scenarios. So there's another 6 or 7 scenarios, and there are some campaign rules. So you've got like campaign record sheets. In the back, so you know you're going to be able to get some play out of this. I'm
assuming Warlord have been pretty good on the spot for a lot of their games. You might get some of the things where it's like it's free content that might do some PDFs where you can download those instead of trying to massacre your rule book with photocopy, taking images and printing and that kind of thing. So check out the Warlord website. It's probably got things on there.
But yeah, the rule book itself is absolutely fantastic. As I say, like the artwork, and that's the one thing with having a Judge Dredd license. Is you've got 44 years worth of
beautiful
artwork, really, from some of the best artists in comics, really, now, to draw on.
It's one of the things that's quite unusual for me. I love the black and white artwork. I think it's one of the things of British comics that you saw was they did black and white work incredibly well, and the line work and the cross hatching and the dark shading that they did and the techniques that could pull off and the life they really breathed into Mega City 1 in a black and white palette is incredible. So when it transferred over to the more colourful versions, it didn't lose anything, it just enhanced it. So what does this retail at then, Sven?
So it's £50 for the starter box. That's direct from Warlord. Obviously, online retailers and some of your friendly local gaming stores may have that at a reduced price. But yeah, starter set's £50. If you're buying just the rulebook on its own, it's £25.
For the figures you're getting, I think Judge Dredd retails. I think we're going to do.
It's something like £10 or £20 for the Dredd box.
But we're going to do
single mini.
But we're going to do a Wave 1 release.
£15 as we're getting.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Word
in. It's £15.
But
yeah, so we've got all the Wave 1 release stuff that came out with it. So we'll be looking at that in a future video. But as I said, the only thing you don't get that you'd need to play the game really is a bit of super glue to attach
the fix to the bases.
That to that, and you need a tape measure or some kind of measuring device.
However,
measured in inches as well.
I will call it out. Judge Dredd's not something that little Timmy's just going to pick up and be playing. It's kind of like this is squarely aimed at people that are either A, already wargaming, or B, as fans of Dredd are more likely to be a little bit older. So you're looking at people who've probably got access to a tape measure and access to glue. it's not a stretch. So I think that's not a bad admission from Warlord there.
And as I've realised now, I need a copy of the Strontium Dog game. So, well done, Warlord.
They've done it again.
I mean, it's a cracking little starter box. In terms of what you get in there and the amount of playability I think you're going to get just out of that box.
Yeah.
And then with the expansions that they're going to be doing, with the extra bits they can add into different block gangs, the fatties, the different denizens like Mean Machine and
Buggy Apolino, the Ape Gang, Mean Machine, the Angels,
all of those that you bring
Mutinies.
into it. I think there's few teasers are in there.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to see things with boing in as well, and I'd like to see how a company does boing really well. I can imagine an easy plastic set. I'd love to see them nailing that.
That's something we'll get Lee on with his resin.
Or Lee'll try something with resin.
Lee'll do a resin boinger. But I think it's a great set. I think if you're a Judge Dredd fan, if you're a fan of skirmish games, if you're a fan of Warlord games, if you're a fan of 28mm, if you're a fan of sci-fi, if you're a fan of comics, this game's going to tick all the boxes.
Absolutely.
We're going to be playing it very soon as we can get some paint thrown on these guys and get a bit of terrain built up. We're going to do a playthrough. So we might play through the initial 3 scenarios in this little book, and we'll do that and we'll record them. And I'm hoping, obviously gameplay-wise, that it lives up to the hype that I've built up in my own mind about the game itself, having a game set around Judge Dredd. I've been disappointed so many times by different licenses of Judge Dredd and different formats, but I'm hoping that Warlord have kind of
nailed it,
got the formula right here.
Yeah.
So when we do play it, we'll obviously be putting all the stuff on the channel, but we're going to be looking at some of the Wave 1 releases in another video, so make sure you are liked and subscribing, and
press the alert button.
hitting the notify button so you can know the very minute that we do put out one of those videos. And of course make sure you're following us on our social media channels, so it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Somewhere around there we're probably looking at our social media links right now.
When we get all of the stuff painted up, we'll start putting some photographs on there. We'll take pictures of the boards, we'll take pictures of the minis, we'll take pictures of the terrain we're using, and so I think I'm looking forward to playing this, and hopefully you'll stick around and you'll follow us playing this. So I think as an unboxing,
it's pretty damn good. Yeah, well done Warlord. I think you've done a cracking job. Well done on the gangers. I think the gangers are beautiful models. I think that for me they're the highlight for this box.
Yeah, I think I'll agree. So I think what we'll do is the next video we'll see from us will be us looking at some of the Wave 1 releases. So as I said, make sure you get subscribed so you know when we're going to post that. And until the next one, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.